All right, all right, all right. Welcome to another episode of Agency Intelligence, where I give you a real agency, a real agent inside a real agency, giving you the real agency intelligence and not the artificial that they try to make you believe out there. When I bring people on like Zach Mefferd, I'm telling you right now, this is not a fake one. This guy right here is going to tell us the agency intelligence, and we're going to talk it out, battle it out, figure out what Zach's been doing. You've probably heard him on a couple other podcasts, maybe even on this network, but as you know as a loyal listener, no one does it like Cass, okay? No one does it like Cass, and so we're going to get to know Zach in a different way. Everybody else is too scared to ask the questions. Ryan Hanley bounces all over the place, doesn't stay straight and narrow, and David Carruthers can't quit talking about himself. So here we are actually going to be going right after Zach. And now you loyal listeners know that I love every one of those guys. And if you would, send them a link saying Cass was talking shit about you.
Yeah.
Send it to them, guys. Send it to them. Because I love every one of them son of a bitches. I wouldn't be where I am without them. Zach, welcome to the podcast, brother.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me. And I would say that if you weren't giving those guys a hard time, then they would think that there was really something wrong. So I think it's something we all can agree with. Giving each other a hard time is part of what makes this fun.
Yeah, and those guys are the cream of the crop in our industry too. Always leading the way, making the fails or failing, and so that others don't have to. Love every one of those guys. David has single-handedly changed my agency, and when I say that, I mean he literally has changed my agency into the way that we prospect, the way we write business. And here's the most important part. Our margins are bigger. So that's one of the key. It's either margins or volume, right?
Yeah.
Margins or volume is the way you're going to make it. And we're going to talk more about that. You ready, Zach?
I'm ready. Let's get into it.
Are you an iPhone or you a Droid user?
I am an iPhone user, and I can tell you it's not because I wanted to. It's because my wife had one. She wasn't giving it up, and I didn't want to buy two chargers. So when we got married,
it's hard enough to have one charger.
Yeah, when we got married, that was the deal. So that's I switched the iPhone then and never looked back.
Zach, do you have kids?
Two, yes, two beautiful little girls.
How old are they?
7 and almost 5.
Okay, all right. So it comes in about another 3 to 4 years when you start getting your charger stolen all the damn time.
It's already happening. It's already happening. They've
God.
got the little iPod that they use for different things, and all of a sudden my charger goes away. I'm there already.
You know what I did? I went and bought the outlets where I sit and where I sleep that have the damn thing in it. Now, you have to pay like $35 for the fast charge ones, but right in the outlet, you put it in the wall, you plug it in, then you don't have to worry about that. And then they started taking my damn cord.
Jason, I have the same thing, buddy. I have the 2 different places where I charge my phone, and they both have a charger. And when they leave, they know that Daddy doesn't like that, and that they're in trouble. So we've already had that discussion in our household.
I mean, this is parenting in 2021, isn't it, Zach?
Yeah.
I mean, it is. I got 2 older teenage boys. I want to just strangle them.
Yeah.
So, anyways, and now they're bigger than me. So now I have to be patient. I'm like, well, okay.
Yeah, mine still love Daddy. So I'm gonna try to hold on to that as long as I can.
Mine love Daddy as well. They just don't like to admit it.
Yeah.
So here we go. They're too young and immature to do that. Zach, do you love to win or do you hate to lose?
I hate to lose.
Do you?
Yeah, it's that. I just hate to lose. I mean, that's I don't know. I've heard that question before and try to figure out. I mean, that's just my initial gut reaction, and it's true. It's the seeing somebody else do better than me. That's the thing that drives me more so than if I won and got all the credit for something.
From what I know of you, I definitely can agree with that. Seriously, that doesn't mean it's good or bad, but just the personality that you are. That makes sense to me so much. Skill or luck, brother? What's got you where you are today?
So I think that the harder you work, the more skill that you develop, the luckier you get. So I would say it's more skill versus luck, but there's something to be said about things falling into place and having luck. But if I had to pick one or the other, I think it's skill.
I agree. Once again, knowing you, so you've worked your ass off to get where you are. You've built the systems that have created your agency, now your business. So take us back to high school, college, diapers, wherever you want. In 2 to 3 minutes, bring us forward to who you are now so we can relate, brother.
All right. So start with, went to Iowa State University, graduated from there, was with a great company, learned a lot, called US Cellular. It's a small little cell phone company that did a great job of teaching a lot of things that we still implement now. So I learned a lot of great leadership skills there, and we have, in fact, one of our leaders we hired, we recruited because she was one of the best people I ever worked for. So, she's on board with us now because of that. You fast forward a little bit, the girlfriend and I break up. I'm miserable. I want to be around race cars, so I literally sold everything that I own. I mean, literally everything that I own that didn't fit in my car, I sold, quit my job, and drove to Charlotte, North Carolina. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know where I was going to work. I didn't know where I was going to live. I was literally homeless for a couple days, and got down there and tried to figure out how to work in racing, how to be in racing, and I couldn't find the right job. I figured these guys that were doing the marketing side worked for free for too long, and I had student loans. So I started working for a guy tearing apart cars. I worked at a salvage yard. I'm still, I think, to record, his worst employee that he ever had. But he was a nice guy. He was in my church, and he helped me out. And one day he had a new property that he was, cleaning out, and I was doing most of that grunt work at the time. So I was doing that, and then a light bulb went off. I just need to go start my own business. This is my time. I had a little money saved up. I wanted to go do something. So I started a junk removal business. And not a lot of people know that about me, but...
Wow, I didn't know that. Wow.
Started a junk removal business in Charlotte, North Carolina called Charlotte Junk Guys. Really proud of the fact that it's still in business. So the guy that bought it from me is still running it and operating it. And then about that time, that girlfriend and I that had broke up, we started talking again. And so couldn't convince her to come to Charlotte. I went to go see about a girl, as they say, in Chicago. So sold my business, went to Chicago, and she's now my wife. That's I'll jump forward in the story there. But I needed a job, and so I told her, I said, look, I'm going to get into one of three things. I'm either going to get into insurance, headhunting, or financial advising. Like that was going to be my thing. I guess I talked about transportation logistics as well as being a 3PL broker, but I just wanted to go into something where I could figure out how something worked that was more on the residual level or long term, as opposed to the junk business, because I was always working super hard to just have the opportunity to hopefully work hard again, and there wasn't a whole lot of residual there. So that's how I got into insurance. I applied at all those different places. Worked for a small life insurance company that's now been acquired by AIG. Didn't like selling life insurance over the phone. Shocker. Went down the captive insurance route. It was going to be State Farm Zach with my khakis, and then realized very quickly after getting to that side of the PNC, which I was just learning, cutting my teeth, that I didn't like the captive model. So at that time, my wife and I were starting to try to start a family, and it was time to go home. So we left the Chicagoland area, came back to Iowa. I literally would have taken any job just to get out of the Chicagoland area. No offense to those in Chicago, it's not for me.
We know what you mean.
I'm too much of a small town Iowa guy, for that. So I didn't know what the company was, what they were selling, and I didn't care. I was just trying to find a job that was going to help me get out of the Chicagoland and get back to home. And that was where I became a commercial insurance producer. I did that for 3 years, and the joke is that 2.5 of the 3 years that we were there, I was trying to convince my now business partner to leave and go start Coverage Direct, which was a scratch agency that we started in 2016. So that's probably the high-level view of how we got to the agency. And then ZipBonds, our separate business entity that we launched, and what I primarily focus on now, was really just a product of us running at problems. That's what we talk about all the time. We don't shy away from them, and if we can't figure out a solution for it, we figure that others probably have the same problem, and so we go try to fix those.
Right. Okay, I like all that, dude. So how old were you when you left Chicago to come to Iowa, small town boy?
I left Iowa for Charlotte when I was 26. I was there for just over a year, so I was 28 when I got to Chicago.
Okay, shit. So you did a lot before that. So you were owning your own business at the age of 24, 25, 26, somewhere around there?
Yeah, I mean, so that was, the first business I technically had was a sports card shop in my neighbor's basement that we ran for the summer called the Card Shack. The cool thing about that is I still have my mom kept the sign that we hand painted for it. But the first, like I like to say, is the first business the government knew about was definitely my junk removal business.
Well said, well said. Now, you said that you like to be in racing. Did I hear that right?
Yeah. So I've been around racing.
Like car racing?
Yeah, car racing. Yeah, that's
Okay, like NASCAR, or you like Grand Prix? What do you got?
So I like anything that goes fast. I don't really judge. I wouldn't say that I'm much of a NASCAR guy. My big thing is dirt sprint cars. I love dirt sprint cars.
Okay, yeah.
I love the engineering.
That's what I was trying to get.
Yep, engineering aspect of a Formula One car. Right now I haven't been doing anything that's really that cool. I jokingly say that I have a car that I race. I don't have a race car, so I do a real low budget endurance series for fun.
What do you do? What do you race? I mean, so you have one of those little dirt cars that's sliding sideways and shit?
So yeah, they do sometimes race on dirt. I have been racing on asphalt most recently, but What it is, it's kind of like a knock out the windows and go. You know, I have a roll cage in it because I just, you know, don't want to die if I roll over. But it's knock out the windows and go type of front wheel drive cars. So they're really, you know, you're supposed to spend like $1,000 on the car, and the idea is they run 200-300 laps or a few hours depending on the type of race, and it's more of a, you know, more of attrition, like how whose car is going to actually make it through the race.
I have seen these at
A lot of
some of
fun.
these small town fairs
Yep.
and stuff like that. They'll have these. And some of these cars may be boats. I mean, like not literally boats, but they're big old cars.
They do with the big cars. The fun series, the fun thing about this series is that they're pretty cheap front wheel drive cars. So I had a Honda Prelude to start, and then I now have a Honda Civic Si that I run. And you know, if you look at my social media, you'll see it. Like these cars, like I got hit a T-boned in the last race that I was in. Hard enough. I'm still feeling it two months later. So, you know, it's sometimes part demolition derby when I really wish it wouldn't be, but it turns into that sometimes.
Wow, dude, that just sounds fun. What was it, Dad, Mom? Where'd you get this love from?
Yeah, so my dad, I grew up hanging out with him. He's on a couple different pit crews, and he did demolition derbies, typical small town county fair type thing, figure eights, things like
Yeah.
that. But I don't know. I mean, I got the itch when I was a kid. I loved going to the races, and I begged my dad to get a soapbox derby car. Started there, and then you know he had made a deal with me when I was begging him to get a go kart that if I could, you know, come up with the $500 it took to buy an engine, that he would, you know, help me get into to a go kart as well. And so I did that. I shoveled snow. I had a paper route. I did everything I could to try to make money, and I came up $500. Said, okay, let's go racing. And you know, we found easily the worst and biggest piece of junk go kart to bolt that motor to, but we had a lot of fun. And I mean, that's looking back, that was some of my best memories. You know, hanging out with my dad going racing.
Yeah, that's good stuff, dude. Had no idea about that.
Yeah.
But dude, it just is a track record for where you are now, right? It goes back to what you said at the beginning, like if something can't go right, we're going to figure out how to make it happen. And it's not so much racing, but it's your love and your vision of something. Dad says $500. You get the paper route. You shovel the snow.
Yep.
You know, you can kind of see, and for all of us parents, you know, you can kind of start to see what our kids will look like in the future, listening to stories like that, right? And it doesn't mean that if you say to your son or daughter out there, hey, I want you to raise $500, and they sit on their ass and play PlayStation, doesn't mean they're a loser. But I think that because a lot of those people are still successful today, kids are different today. But I think it gives us a glimpse because I do know some of those kids. My oldest one is like that. My youngest one, he likes to play PlayStation.
Right.
And so, but ironically enough, my oldest is now in the agency. So that's really, really interesting. I can hear that coming through, Zach. That's awesome. So Zach, why did you name your agency Coverage Direct?
Man, that's a great question. I'm glad somebody asked that. So it's very intentional. So the first business, like again, the insurance business that I was in was with Matrix Direct. They sold life insurance over the phone. So I always liked that direct name because I thought it really told the story of, you know, doing things like an online experience. I know when we in our space we think of direct, we think of, you know, direct writers, and that's not really what we were trying to convey. But what we wanted to do when we started Coverage Direct was to take the best way to buy property and casualty insurance, which we still believe is through the independent agency channel, and then sell that in a more direct way. Meaning we wanted to incorporate technology we knew existed but wasn't, you know, being used at our agency, and we were a little naive at the time to think that that was just our agency's issue. Lo and behold, we find out that it's an industry issue. But that's what the idea is. So Coverage represents the independent insurance agency channel, and actually selling coverage, not insurance. That's a difference. And then doing it in a direct sales and service model that was more of a call center is really what we had in our minds at the time, which is now is what it's become. So it's, you know, online forms, over the phone sales, and you know, that's morphed into that we partner with credit unions and provide turnkey solutions for them on the insurance side.
So everybody knows, loyal listeners, Zach and his partner, very high-tech individuals, very forward-thinking. Zach, you and I first met when we were in Cleveland at the Neon get-together. Zach actually, truthfully, I was one of the first official on, but Zach actually was on Neon before anybody. Yep. He was actually out there testing it out. And then he had to go a different route for many different reasons. But Zach, I think it's because you started getting into this zip, into these bonds. How in the hell did you go from Coverage Direct, best possible way to sell and help people purchase P&C insurance, to now ZipBonds? Where'd this come from?
So
This was a surprise to me this summer when I found out about this.
it's an idea we'd had for a while, and to be honest with you, the real impetus, like way back of where this became to us. Again, we run at problems. It was back when I was a commercial producer and cold calling these contractors. I gravitated towards contractors. I don't know if it's because of the common use of four-letter words or what it was, but I really liked those types of clients. And I started getting into bigger and bigger accounts where they would say, hey, I don't move any of my stuff over, my PNC stuff, unless you can do my bonds. I literally remember being on a cold call and saying, surety bonds? Yeah, we can. I'm looking around like, can somebody please help me? Do we do surety bonds? I don't know what that is, And I'm like, we do. Yeah. Oh yeah, we can do bonds. We can do bonds. And I remember going to, my business partner Ryan, again, one of the smartest guys I've ever met. And he literally taught me everything I knew about commercial insurance. And so when I was asking him about surety, and I could see the deer in the headlights on his face, I'm thinking, okay, well, this guy's pretty sharp and knows what he's doing, and if he doesn't know it, I'm gonna go figure it out. And I knew enough to be dangerous, but it was always one of those things that we struggled with. And then, fast forward as we started our scratch agency and we were still working with contractors because, to keep the lights on before we figured out the credit union angle. That's what we had to do. We were doing a lot of commercial, and I was real frustrated with the process. These fast, credit only applications for small contract, because that's primarily what we're running into. I didn't feel like they were truly credit only because they were always asking for more information. And then if you found, if a standard found that they didn't want to write it, you'd have to go to a broker. And then the broker, you'd have to start all over again. And they would send you a form. And sometimes it wasn't even a fillable PDF. It just kept bothering me that process was so broken. And so, we decided, we were at ITC in 19 and looked around, and, Ryan astutely, you pointed out, he's like, I don't see anything for surety here. That was one of the solutions we were looking for. And since there wasn't anything out there at the time, we started going down the path of figuring out why and trying to partner with a carrier and seeing if they would just do it for us. And once we figured out the carrier wasn't going to do it, we just, we're literally in the middle of a call. I paused it and I told him, I was like, we're just going to have to flip and build it because no one else is going to do it. And so we waited strategically to make sure that we got the heavy lift done on what we needed to get done on the Salesforce side, and then got to a point where we could split time. So as much as Coverage Direct is still, an agency that's flourishing and doing really well, I don't have anything to do with that side of house anymore. I mean, that's how do you get to a point where one of us could at least run point on this, which is what I've been doing with Zip. And now that we felt like the time to be able to do it the right way, we went all in. And so we raised our seed round in March, officially launched in June, and since have been just trying to perfect the system and help agents in the process. I mean,
so what's your average premium on a bond?
Oh man, so there's two different types of bonds, obviously, that you're working with. You have commercial ones, which are typically your direct pass through. I mean, there's a lot of different ones, but you think of like a minimum premium $100 license and permit bond, right? On the other side, small contracts specifically is what we had focused on. We're typically seeing somewhere between $3,000 and $6,000 premium for some of these smaller ones, and then you get to the point where the idea was. Start when they either don't know anything about surety as a contractor, or they're just growing, or maybe they need that first one, but help kind of nurture them into a point where they could bid bigger and bigger jobs. And then once you start getting up past that $1 million and higher roll, the premium gets much larger.
And the commission's the highest of any line out there, isn't it?
It is because of the underwriting. So when you think about the way they underwrite this, they underwrite to a 0 loss ratio. And so that's not the same thing as with PNC, and that's where I think people in our space get mostly confused about surety. It's not the same product, and that's why it pays more commission, because it's underwritten to a 0 loss ratio.
Wow, interesting. See that, loyal listeners? There's a little bit for you there. And I love what you say, man. We run at problems. I love that, Zach. I love that. And we can hear it in your voice, Dad presented you a problem, said you got to have 500, right? You ran towards it. Yeah, Zip, surety bonds. It's awesome, too, your story. You looked out there, actually trying to find out, like, where is the need?
Yeah.
Sometimes we go after the things that we like to do, which we believe builds a passion. But sometimes passion can run us amok when you're just actually saying, well, wait a minute, let's look and see what we're actually good at. And I love that, dude. I love that. And Ryan sounds like a smart guy, too.
He
Ryan,
is
Travis,
a
and
really smart guy. He just doesn't talk as much as I do, so that's why it makes it a lot easier for me to be on these things. But yeah,
yeah.
he is equally as much a part of everything that we've done, been successful with. And
Mhm.
I sometimes, feel like he doesn't get enough credit for it, which bothers me at times. But again, he's a lot more humble than I am, and he doesn't talk as much as I do. So that's probably why you don't hear about him as much.
You know what? So Travis and I are great business partners. It's unbelievable how great we work together. He's the same exact way,
Yep.
quiet as can be.
Yep.
Now, when you meet him at a conference and he has one or two beers, he gets like crazy talking, and everybody's like, "How do you deal with this at the office?" I'm like, he doesn't say a freaking word. I mean, the whole time, very quiet, very methodical,
Right.
detail oriented. Keeps me in check. So I think you guys have got the same thing going
Exactly right.
along there.
He's my
And
governor.
it's yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. Well said. I mean, and it's really special that we have found something like
Yeah.
that. I mean, we rarely have any disagreements because usually whenever he wants to override me or I want to override him, I actually was probably not feeling confident about it anyways. And I was kind of like, all right, man, now that you said that, yeah, that makes total sense. And then the opposite, I'm not feeling confident about it. And he comes through and is like, hey, this is something we should do. I'm kind of like, I got a new, it's the same. I know it sounds weird, but loyal listeners, bear with me. You know what I'm talking about. It's the same feeling I get from my wife. Like I'm doubting something and she's against it. I'm like, oh shit, I probably need to reassess
That's
this.
exactly what it is, Jason, and that's why I had a conversation with somebody here at IOA, talking about like, well, what do you think about that partnership? How does it work, whatnot? And I said, it's one of those things like just being business partners doesn't always work. Not even a huge fan of it, but if you're going to get into business with someone, they have to complement you in a way, and you have to have it's a relationship that is similar to, like you said, like it's like marriage, and I mean, you can try to
Hmm.
poke fun of me all you want for that, but it really is exactly
Yep.
that. I mean, we complement each other really well. We have so much respect for each other that if we do have a strong opinion about it or whatnot, there's been times where I don't understand and I don't necessarily agree with it, but I can tell that he's very, set, he does it the
Yes.
right way, and then I just trust him because I know that he's got it, and he gives me the same
Come
respect.
on, Dak.
So it works out well, and it's nice to have somebody.
And we just trust them. That's the reason why we can work out and many others out there. I'm not saying we're special and others can't. It's can you put down your passion, put down aside your ego and say, you know what? I'm going to follow this guy in that. And wow, fantastic. I'm glad you guys have that. Travis and I are 10 years apart. Are you and Ryan close in age?
Not quite that far apart. It's 3.5, 4 years.
Who's older?
He is.
He is. Oh, okay, okay. He's the older one. I'm the older one here. But yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. And it's like we also talk about you can do twice as much,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yes, you have to split it, but if we can scale the business fast enough that the half is actually more than the whole if you were by yourself, right?
I agree.
Um,
I
yeah,
don't think
so
we
much.
definitely wouldn't be where we're at. We talk about this all the time too, because people do ask us. They said, "Look, do I think either one of us could be successful without the other one?" Of course, but I don't want to be. Like, I mean, I have so much fun, working with Ryan and hanging out with him and doing this, and I just feel like iron sharpens iron, right? Like we help
Right.
drive each other and push each other in a direction. He's a lot better at the things that I just despise doing, and vice versa. I mean, that's why it works.
Man, dude. Yeah, we ought to get together one day and just have some dinner because like it would be so interesting to talk because so much when Ryan or when Travis listens to this, he's going to be like, "Holy crap, dude." So it's just saying, we'll get off it, loyal
Yeah,
listeners, but
yeah, yeah.
Travis and I know we have something special and it sounds like Zach and Ryan do too.
Yeah.
So BidBond or this Zip bonds, can agents access that or is just this for consumer or do you act
So
as a broker as well and agents can go through you?
here's okay. I'm glad you asked that because look, it's direct to consumer as well as working with agents. But here's why. This was a problem we had. We didn't want this to be the process for us. So we intentionally not only went after a solution for ourselves, but we intentionally wanted to focus on something that could also provide value to the independent channel. Ryan and I talk about everything that we do moving forward, and this is the same reason why we're an open book and we'll help anybody with anything that they want and tell them exactly what we've done and how we've done it. Is because if we don't have an impact on the space, then making all the money in the world is not going to matter to us.
That's
We
right.
never did it for the money to begin with. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like everybody wants to make a lot of money, but that's not really what drives us. So the way we built this out is that yes, it is direct to consumer as it sits right now, and we want to continue to do that as agents. But what we'd really like to do is help other agents who don't have the time to do it. They feel nervous about putting together those bid bonds. They just can't be subject matter experts because they only do a little bit of surety every single year. We want to become that division for them and help become that, that surety side of their business. And we're never going to be in a position where if we do something directly and find that someone is working with that client and they reach out to us, we're not going to try to ever compete. We'll quickly concede. We'll still pay them. I mean, heck, we do all the work and pay them anyway. So what does it really matter, right? That's the idea.
Wow, that's fantastic, dude. So anybody wants to reach out to you, I got it right here. It's ZipBonds.com they can go to, or Z Mefferd at ZipBonds.com. That's plural, ZIP. And I love it, dude. I really like what you're doing over there.
Love to give anyone a demo and explain what it is. I mean, I think we spent a lot of time and money on building out this beautiful UX and this platform, but what we're finding is the majority of agents that really like working with us just like having, that, hey, we partner with these guys for surety, here you go, and they just send it over, and then we have internal underwriters and support staff to help process everything, and then we still pay almost exactly what you'd make in a commission anyway, but if you went through a carrier.
Wow, dude, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Wrapping it up, man, anything you want to say specific that maybe we didn't hit on? I think we hit on some pretty good stuff today.
No, I mean, I just thankful for the opportunity to talk to other agents and whatnot. Again, I love being in this space, so I'm happy to help anybody if they want to know about it, and if they want to know more about who we are, just reach out anytime.
It is the greatest industry God ever created. There is no doubt about that.
We love it.
And the potential, there is no ceiling here. The opportunity, not the potential. There is potential, that's individually. But the opportunity in this industry, there's so many holes that need filled. There's so many more sections of this industry that people like Zach and Ryan can say, you know what, this is a need. I have Risk Advisor. I just got Risk Advisor from David Watson, and I'm using it. And to be honest with you, when he sent me the demo, I didn't get it. And I told him, I said, when do I actually use this? When is this going to solve a problem? And then he explained to me it's all about when the information is being taken in, and then being able to put that in a software that then simplifies it and integrates and dumps it into my Salesforce and dumps it into my Raider. And it's like, holy shit. And sometimes as agent, Zach, just like what I know these agents dealing with you, we don't realize that that's a hole or a problem in our agency.
Right.
We know it's kind of mundane and there's some double entry. But when someone comes along with a product like Risk Advisor or ZipBonds, I think it's like, holy shit, I've been doing this stuff archaically, And so
I agree.
Good for you.
I mean, there's definitely not a lack of problems in our space. And again, I think if it's something that you have any sort of discomfort in and can think through a better solution, just like I said, run at it. Figure it out, do that, provide value to the space, and everybody wins. I'm thrilled to be in this industry. I'm glad I stumbled into it, and just couldn't agree more. Lots of opportunity.
Zach, last couple questions here. You and your boo watching Hulu, spending time watching Amazon Prime, getting your kicks on Netflix. What are you and her watching right now?
And right now, what did we just finish up? We just finished up Squid Game.
Oh, shit.
That was dark. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not sure I'd go through that again.
I think the end was bullshit, in my opinion.
Yeah, I didn't love it either.
No.
Succession is the other thing that we've got going on right now.
Oh, come on. Zach, dude, are we from the same mother?
You might be.
I mean, dude, Succession is sick.
Small town, little Illinois to small town Iowa. I mean, it's not that far apart, right? We're drinking the same water.
Dude, Succession is sick. And most of my friends aren't watching it. They're like, I'll check that out. I'm like, no, dude, I know the movies or the shows you like. Succession is, woo.
That's it. That's ours. Yeah, right now.
Yeah. Man, I'm glad that just now came back out. I jumped back on Narcos to jump on the season 3. I went through the first 2 episodes, and I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
And so anyways, I liked Narcos 1 and 2. So last question, leaders are readers, and you're a leader, so I know you're a reader. What are you reading?
Right now, I'm reading 13 Hours. I forget, it's Kennedy. It's about the Cold War situation with Cuba and going through.
Oh, yeah, Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yep.
That's what you're reading right now.
I'm listening to that right now. So I am I'm wired a lot like you, and I don't think I'm saying anything that people probably don't already know, but I have severe ADHD, and so I can't actually read and retain things very well. So when I say I read, I listen to Audible a lot because I just can't retain it if I just read it through, which sure.
And you can bring in so much more with Audible, so much more. I mean, because you have so many instances where you have 10 or 15 minutes throughout the day, 10 or 15 minutes, drive to work, drive home, going to the gym, running errands for the wife.
That's exactly right. It's that, or I'm listening to one thing. Here's I'll give everyone. If you're not listening to My First Million podcast,
okay,
that is I'm an entrepreneur first, right? So that just really is a thing that drives me. And if you haven't listened to that podcast, I'd check it out. I think it benefits everyone as agency owners as well, because they really push, people think bigger, and they come up with a lot of different ideas and just spitball entrepreneurial ideas.
Dude, I like My First Million, right?
Yeah, Sam Parr and
Fantastic.
Sean, I can't pronounce his last name, so.
So all you loyal listeners, after you listen to me every day, God forbid you're going to need medical help after a while. That's something that you check out. Yeah. My First Million. Zach, appreciate you coming on.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it, man.
This has been good stuff. And hey, loyal listeners, this has been another episode of Agency Intelligence, where I gave you a real agent inside a real agency, giving you the real agency intelligence and not the artificial that they try to make you believe out there. This is Cass. I do what I do because I do it for you. I'm out.